August 6, 2024. And the topic of this meeting's Commissioners Court meeting today is budget hearings, budget workshop. All of our commissioners are here, so we're going to go ahead and start. Mr. Aaron Torres from Elections Administration is here.
Come on down.
The next victim up, contestant up, and the price is right. There you go. What's happening in elections today, sir?
Not too terribly much, cleaning up our DPS applications. They constantly accumulate, everybody moving in or changing their driver or changing their addresses.
You know, that's a big topic lately. It's been online. I just give you an opportunity to address it, not here locally, but all over the world. People are like, oh, we have these bad voter rolls. People really don't understand what you do behind the scenes and how much work your guys put in just to keep the voter rolls up to date.
Yeah, we constantly get a flow from state, from multiple different portals. We have a DPS portal, we have a Texas Online portal. All of those, the applications that flow to us daily from state. And then also if they send them to the wrong place, we have to find them and send them to the right place.
So about how many a year or how many a month do you guys do these changes?
Actual changes, I couldn't tell you how many overall without writing a report. Right now, we have about 150 some odd pending that we have.
Wow, 150 pending in Hill County alone. So now,
Well, I noticed it had 17,000.
yeah, our people keep up to date better than ours.
Yeah, we get in that process where we have to hold back from changing anybody's addresses during the election, so it builds back up. So we get up anywhere from a couple of 100 pages to about 300 pages, and they each have maybe about 20 people on each page.
So it's a constant deal. The voter roll is every day of the week that we're not doing something else. We're looking at that.
Pretty much, and that's all the calls we normally get when we're in the off time from elections. Especially right now with this one starting ready to gear up, we've been getting calls from everybody checking their registrations, making sure they're up to date, asking about ballot by mail and if they qualify. But really, that's really about it on the daily.
Full-time job.
Do you check against the obituaries? I know that's some conspiracies.
No, that's
We do. We also get records from a lot of the county clerks. Anytime they have anybody from our county
That's
in theirs, they'll send us a what is it? Escaping my mind right now.
Notice of death?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll send us all of their notice of deaths that actually pertain to us. We go through and check our records to make sure that if we have them, we go ahead and cancel them. And then maintain rolls that way. We do maintain through the obits. We also check our records against those to make sure. It's a little bit more difficult to do it through the obits because you do come across some folks that have the same name and are born around the same time frame. And you cancel the wrong one and then you hear it on the radio during an election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when you actually get the paperwork from the county clerk's offices from around the state that send them to us. Because they have more information that we can actually compare versus just what's in the paper being written up.
I think that people just don't, as a general rule, get to see elections except for a couple of times a year, and they think, oh, that's the only thing they do. Most of our citizens probably don't understand really what goes in behind that, keeping those voter rolls clean to make sure only eligible certified voters can be on it, and the great links they go to. Without elections administration, you'd probably quit, I imagine, because that would be no fun. Well, it's what county clerk and the tax collector used to have it, and the two of them had to coordinate to do this, and there's a reason they created this. So
The deal, the nationwide deal, the voter registration deal, if the state got out of it, does that cause a problem for you?
I haven't had any issues with anything thus far with the state system other than trying to get in contact with them from time to time when I do need them. Outside of that, we have our downtimes where the system goes down for maintenance and stuff like that. Or like when we had the crowd strike that went through that caused some hiccups. with
Oh, yeah.
logins. So they actually changed our logins to actually be verified through our phones now.
So it's two-factor.
It was two-factor to begin with, but
Okay.
with all of that going down, they took it a step further and made us do it through our phones.
Interesting. Okay.
If you don't have it in your phone, you're not gonna get the
The
verification.
state's not a member of that nationwide voter deal.
Well, there's several different
Was it
entities.
Eric?
Whatever the name was, I just remember reading that the state got out of that for some reason.
That one, if I'm thinking the one that you're talking about, it's where the other states would flow their data to a centralized database and then they would flow down to us telling us that, hey, this person moved from your county to our state and live in our county or parish or whatever it may be at this point. That does make it a little harder for those that have moved out of state and never updated us. But it still doesn't really pose too much of a problem that I've seen throughout the years. I mean, we had people moving before we ever had the system in place, whenever I started out way back when, and we still. Well, the larger counties, they actually have their own registration systems. Dallas County, McLennan County, they don't run on the state system, they run on their own systems.
After seeing the states, I understand why.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, well, gentlemen, you'll find the elections administration budget on page 40 of your proposed budget, and you'll see under the tab the request. What you got for us?
I don't really have too much of anything. A lot of my lines went down. The one that I did actually go up on a bit more was the election workers line.
Mhm.
It is an off-season election that we're going through. I had actually worked up to be about 28,000, but covering overtime, I put it up to 35. But seeing as that Governor Abbott likes to order elections in timeframes that we don't normally have them, I wanted to go ahead and budget for that.
No, I think it's smart because we wound up paying for it last couple of years. So I think having money in there.
But really, that was the only one that I had a fluctuation on. Everything else stayed about the same or slightly under.
Okay. Commissioners, questions for elections administrator?
Yeah, the difference in your, oh, that's at 531.
Yeah, 531 is at
Okay.
59. You can see, I'm sorry. For the election workers for 531 was 34,791. We had 45 adopted last year, 45 proposed this year. He asked for 50. We ran out of money before we get everybody taken care of.
Well,
So
and last go around, we didn't have the extended hours in place, so that might shoot into us. a bit. So
Yeah.
that's the reason it went up a bit more.
we had the extended hours a couple of years ago when it was requested for by a party, the Democrat Party did, and that we had to do it at that time. But I think everybody at that time said, including the requesting party, this was kind of a waste. No one showed up. So we had people manning the polls. That being said, the new rules are you have to do this on this. So we're got to be there no matter what. So it's irrelevant if we have turnout or not. The law says we have to be there. So we will
Correct.
be there.
I know throughout the election, there were lines going across listserv griping about this. So I'm sure when we go to conference next week, we'll hear more about this because I know a lot of the counties were not thrilled with it. They weren't happy with the turnout as we are.
I can only imagine some of
It's
your.
not beneficial.
Yeah, I can only imagine some of your smaller counties west to here that was the
There's
case.
some that only have like 500 and they all do mail,
Wow.
but the benefits of being tiny.
Yeah, it's very, very tiny, very, very tiny. All right. All right, so this is the only budget we have for election administration in your general fund. If you go back to your special budget, you will see a budget that really doesn't have much in it. And that is our election machine fund. And what that is we from time to time have to charge people to use those machines outside of us. And then that money goes back in. You'll find that on page 116. And so you're talking massive amounts of money here. $160. Now, last year, we did not adopt a budget for it. We were told by the auditor then that no need. Well, we took in 3,300 actual on that. So we have a beginning projected cash balance of 29,850 in there. This is one of those budgets that when Susan's back tomorrow, I'm going to go over with. Again, eyes got put on all this stuff, but understanding that we had actual revenue in 22, actual revenue in 23, and actual revenue as a 5/31/24. I do believe that there's probably going to be some revenue in FY25 that needs to be proposed there. Again, that's something I need to work out with the treasurer though. So. Auditor, sorry about there, Rachel, putting job duties on you, not yours. So anyway, those funds can be used to do things with machines. So we have maintenance on the machines in there of 10,000. If we need to up that, we can definitely do so, but we really don't take in that much money each year. And the chapter 19 funds go outside of this process. Those are funds from the state that we asked for reimbursement for, and Aaron's got with Susan, and they've requested reimbursement for certain funds that we spent during the last election. You remember the total amount?
Don't remember the total. It basically covered the hours of the extended hours for the workers that worked in the time frame.
It's a couple
So
thousand.
we were able to recoup that. She tried to get reimbursement for the Text My Gov, but that didn't actually qualify. Yeah, it just didn't meet the criteria of approval for it, so that was rejected.
The other thing that we've not budgeted for here, but we need to talk about during budget time is that our voter check-in system is called VoteTech. It's not the voting system, not what you vote on. It's just the check-in system to verify that you haven't voted twice, that you have your ID, that you comply with state law. The one we got's end of life. We're gonna have to replace it. I don't know what it's gonna cost. We put out a grant for about 100 grand request here a while back. We got turned down by the governor. We should have won it at the local level. For some reason, the state snatched it out, put it up to the state level, and then we got turned down, even though it was spot on with what the grant request was. I feel we got backhanded on the thing. That being said, we don't have the money incumbent in this budget to do this. What we'll have to do, if once we decide, we're probably gonna have to go out and borrow the money to do it and figure out the payment schematic on it.
If I remember correctly, the quote that the current check-in system provider gave us was around 109,000.
Somewhere around
for about
109.
50 units.
Yeah, 109, 110.
Another additional 2 to 3 with an extended warranty on it.
Yeah.
So it's about a ballpark of what we're.
Something to think
expecting
about.
possibly.
All right, gentlemen, questions for Mr. Torres? All right, Mr. Torres, thank you very much. Any questions for us?
No, sir.
All right,
Thanks, Tom.
you have a great day. Thank you, sir. Well, I don't see Mrs. Hightower, but I do see Mrs. Eubank. So is our district clerk ready to go?
Judge,
Yeah. What's up, Tom?
can we break in real quick for that little discussion you need to have on the Class B?
Yeah, I totally forgot. Go ahead. So lay out what you got.
Jennifer Goff's on here. I'm gonna let her do a better job.
Oh, John, he threw you under the bus. That's terrible.
I'm good at that.
Well,
It is what it is. Judge, just if we want to pursue Cat B, there's a couple of things that have to be marked off the list this week. Such as we need to have our applicant briefing and the public assistance needs to be done. The request for the RPA needs to be done via the FEMA grants portal. So if that is something that Hill County wishes to pursue, because we did get that, those two things need to be marked off the list.
So Jennifer, we need to back up a little bit. We got denied for public assistance by FEMA. We got the word this Monday. Yesterday. That's what the deal is. We can appeal, and there are some other things available to us. Tom, Jennifer, what you want to go through what those things that are available to us are?
Cat B is what we did get, and that is the emergency protective measures.
So anything we did to repair, and quote me, anytime I'm wrong, stop me. But my understanding of category B, Cat B, is that anything we did for emergency repairs, pouring rock into the front of the head walls, if we paid a guy overtime, if we had to do things that we didn't anticipate, then we still have the ability to recoup those monies, just not much more. I think it's worth our time if we got to sit in a meeting or two to get, some of that money back for everybody's budget. So my recommendation to the commissioners, I don't have to do the work though, it's on y'all, is that we take advantage of this. If we need to take advantage of it, what Ms. Goff is saying is that there will be a meeting that has to be held this week. How do we set that up? Is that by Zoom, Jennifer, or what we're looking at?
I do know that recovery is available any day this week at 1:00. Given that it needs to be done this week, I would assume that it was probably going to be done via Zoom, which we have done some virtual ones anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. But the request for public assistance would need to be done following that applicant briefing.
So what day could we hold the applicant briefing?
Any day this week at 1:00.
Any day this week at 1:00. You guys
Judge, one
interested?
thing I think it's important for y'all to understand, to apply for this Class B, each one of y'all gonna sit in an hour class online to qualify to do this paperwork.
Can we sit? All right.
What are we talking about?
Any idea the quantity of dollars was a question from Commissioner Holcomb?
It would be, because I knew that was a question I was going to be asked, so I went ahead and asked recovery earlier. Basically, it's a 75-25 cost share. Be reimbursed for eligible costs associated with any of those emergency protective measures.
Any in total emergency protective measures that you did, you'd be eligible for 75-25 cost share. You basically get back 75% of the money you spent to repair the damages. So what they're saying is everybody's gonna need to find an hour this week at 1:00 to sit down and do this. Unfortunately, we can't be in the same room because that'd be a posted meeting, or we can post this as a meeting for Friday at 1:00. Your choice. Friday at 1?
That's like the one bridge at a 20-foot bridge west of Aquila.
Yes, sir.
They want to put it back to original. And I said, they don't need to go back original and to go through mediation to expand it
Yeah.
20 foot. And they said it's gonna take a long time.
Yeah, that's
I
not,
said,
That's not
That's
this.
not this.
That's not
That's
this.
not this.
Yeah,
This was the rock you dumped on the end of it to make it passable.
yeah,
That's that rock.
that's rock.
You get 75% of that rock back. But we're not, yeah, the mitigation, if we participate in this, we participate in mitigation later. And I get your point. For that bridge, it's not worth your time and effort. You gotta do what you gotta do to get it
That's
open.
what I told.
But what I'm saying is, anybody that's interested in recouping 75% of the money they put out after these rains, I would highly recommend you have a sit through this class.
George 108, Charles Henry 8, George 1.
Glad you heard it, Lord. What are you thinking?
I don't know that it's worth the time.
Just like the low water crossing, they only figured up like $1,000. Repair the washout.
What about
Put
you?
it back original.
That's the same situation Larry's in, they're on 1345,
Yeah,
but I've got to put in 2 40-foot bridges to the $250,000, and it's mitigation. It's not original condition.
Correct.
It should be.
should have been, but
They've turned us down for that, Commissioner. I mean, that's,
No,
unless,
Tom, this is not working with everybody outside of this room because you can't hear what he's saying. He can't hear what you're saying. So let me translate real quick. He's saying they turned it down because it would be mitigation, not original condition. That's the reason it was turned down. So I think you guys go ahead and drag over here and we'll talk about this after we get some of these budget hearings done. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. All right, we're gonna move on then at this time. We have the district clerk set up to go. But the tax collector who is actually on the deal has showed up, so yeah, up to you, your choice.
Oh, that's Chris.
Fight it out amongst yourselves, let us know the winner.
Flip a coin. Flip a coin.
This is however it goes, come
I've got your page, Martell.
on, come on, go on, let's go, let's go.
I'll try to be brief, no promise.
Okay, that's enough. That's brief enough.
Y'all have my proposal.
You do, they all got it on the computer when you send it to them, and I put it in their packets.
It's different from what the
Proposed.
judge proposed.
Correct, very much so.
So let's just go through, we'll just start with the line items. First of all, let's talk about the hardest one, staff wages. I didn't make any, I made recommendations based on the chart that Rachel provided, the new schematic for salaries. And I'm asking the court to approve a mid-level clerk. And the reason is multifold. I don't know if that's a word, but there's tons of reasons. I do all of the accounting at the clerk's office. Is that you or me?
It's him, he's dropped it 3 times a day.
Want me to grab that?
We're gonna get him some duct tape for that phone, yes.
So the district clerk's office, I do all of the accounting in the office. I want to train somebody to do that. It's complex accounting. I cut probably between 60 and 100 checks per month to ad items, out of county service, restitution recipient. The legislative session, this last one, they changed the law on restitution that they're collecting from felons and TDCJ. And all of those restitution monies are now forwarded to the district clerk's office. It's a hot mess. Of course, CDCAT, our association, is going to try to get that reversed, but no,
Good luck.
I doubt it. In any event, the financials take a couple of days for me to get processed, and then of course there's criminal cash bond, which the district clerk is also responsible for, registry funds. There's an old civil registry that I inherited from, I don't know how many 3 clerks ago, that needs an extraordinary amount of attention and detail and needs to be sheeted. My fear is that back in the old days, and Chrissy does it now, she took over that function when Charlotte was a district clerk, is we disperse all of the excess proceeds from tax sales And we divide them by percentage of levy across all the taxing units. So when these folks don't come back and claim their excess proceeds, they sheet to the taxing authorities and not to the state, which is a common misunderstanding. In any event, those are time consuming, and there's quite a lot of civil registry funds from back in the day that need to be researched, and those funds need to be deployed.
Marshall, what's the sheet there?
It's two, so just for excess proceeds, and this is just particular to the tax code, after 2 years have passed, usually we defer the orders to come, or the motion and proposed orders come from the delinquent tax attorneys, because we, the taxpayers are paying them. In any event, they petition the court rules, and then all of those funds are dispersed to the taxing jurisdiction. So for the county, I would do, divide those funds up by percentage of the county's levy against that property.
So that doesn't go through the unclaimed money.
No, it goes straight to the treasurer's office and straight to the general fund. So, and that's part of why those old civil registry accounts haven't been sheeted on my pleading to not do that. We really need to research back through those tax cases, find the ones where disbursements weren't made. Thankfully, now with our records management project, we have all the cases, a case order from sovereignty to modern day disposed. So finding these older cases that aren't scanned in is reasonably easy. And then, of course, it's then just going through case by case and determining, because everything back then was manual. This is before 1993 and backwards, when there was no software that accounted for these things. And remember that most of these tax cases were disposed, and then 2 years later, after the disposition, they make petition to the court to rule on the disbursement of those excess proceeds. So, these cases are kind of a lost cause because they're disposed. They're not in any urgency in front of the court. So that's another one of those huge projects that needs attention. Also filed, and I think I brought one graphic for y'all to pass around. Again, the legislative session imposed massive reporting requirements, the first of which is due on
Unfortunately,
November the 1st. So my new title will be data analyst for the Office of Court Administration after the end of October. The problem with these, I'm sorry.
And again, was it your new title?
Data analyst for the Office of Court Administration. They want to see the movement of cases through our court system.
so, and this ties back to a lot of different things. What you're saying is 100% correct, but what they're doing is the carrot and the stick. If for any reason Marshall can't produce that, or any other clerk in the state of Texas couldn't, that the carrot is you do this and we'll give you money. The stick is if you don't, we don't get any grant funds. And I told you before, I've run about $30 million in grant funds through my office in the last 17 years. That's a lot of money. And so it's incumbent upon them. But once they got their toe in the door, they've put both legs in now. It went from the clerk being constitutionally required to take care of the records of her office to now literally handing things over to them and accounting for how the entire system works to them.
Every month, it takes me literally a day to do all of my reporting requirements to the Office of Court Administration, and that's across all courts, and that's court, disposition. And that's every month. And then I have 4D reporting to, get our compensation back, and all of those case statistics that go along with the Office of Court Administration. That's our 4D court, which is child support. Let me try it.
Quite a few though.
They lose me, but in any event, and Nicole can speak to this too, because her reporting requirements are just as daunting. In any event, it takes a lot of time and effort. And here's the thing, the clerks that I employ right now, I have 4 courts, and Judge Lewis can speak to this. They're busy, crazy busy. And my mantra has been, for the accuracy and efficiency of these courts, a clerk needs to be sitting bench side. So 90% of these dockets, I have a clerk in court doing their clerk work, bench side. That's extraordinarily important, because when the judge makes an order or a docket entry or something that instructs the clerk to do something, I don't want those orders to be missed. Pay funds, collect this, prepare that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that the court orders the clerk to do. And if the clerk isn't present, then those orders and instructions can be missed, and I don't want that. I've got 2 clerks that are dedicated to e-file. Our e-file statistics are crazy, and those are all public record. You can go on and see the county's e-file statistics, which are just busy.
It's just more unfunded management.
So-
So they put on top of the district clerk's office. Every year they keep inventory.
And you know, the other, whilst I love this job and I'm super enthusiastic to do it, I'm gonna retire eventually someday. And I want to be able to pass the baton to and have all of these components set, you know, a trained position. Whilst, you know, in 2017, the conversion to Odyssey, we were only using about 20% of what that application will do. We've expanded that now, and we're maybe at 45% of the functionality of Odyssey that we're using, that we paid for. There's tons of other things which I itemized on the back of the proposed budget of the things that we'll be looking to do in Odyssey projects. One I'll point out that is pretty solid. There's still some legislative compliance slips in our jury application. But the portion that Philip has been gracious enough to put that maintenance fee in his budget. What is it, Philip? Did they send you a notice? Because they certainly didn't copy it to me of what that's going to be for this next fiscal year.
No, ma'am.
17, is that in the ballpark? Is our annual maintenance on the jury application. The other line item, since we're on the subject of jury, that I would point out to you in the jury plan that was submitted and approved by this body. I think Judge Lewis, you put it up at $6,000.
So that's the same as last year, I believe. Did
I think you increased it, honestly.
I may have, forgive me, there's about 10,000 lines of data and I do forget from time to time what they say.
So, and I would just say that you can see how robust our jury schedule and, you know, unfortunately, if a jury's canceled, we're mailing out summons and then we have to undo the jury, but it still costs us 3 cents or whatever it is. We'll get a bulk rate. I think it's 65 cents, something like that on our summons bulk rate. But in any event, that item might need to be looked at. I wrote it.
Is that postage?
Yes, postage
Is
in
it
the
9?
jury.
Okay,
That's
postage
not
and
in my
jury.
budget.
Yeah, gotcha. So let's go to the jury then, because your office interacts a good bit with the jury fund. Guys, you'll find.
And that
jury-
used to be this sheriff's purview, like it was the bailiff or something that had purview over that line item, because I would give the summons to the bailiff
So-
and he would go stamp them with postage, but
The jury
now.
fund's at 93, guys. On page 93, you find the jury fund.
Yes, and
So-
you can see, I think it's 6,000. They
Uh,
put it out for.
Yeah, I went from 25 to 6,000 there.
I mean, let's see, I don't know.
I don't know. We went up a lot. We put another $100,000 in the jury fund. And that's the big deal is you've got so many valid points and I want to fund all of that. But I got $775,000 in new revenue. The sheriff's office took 730,000 of it. The jury fund took 100,000 of it. So now I'm upside down. We had to eat into the reserve just to get where we did and still offer the employees at 3.2%. I think you make some very valid points, Marshall, and I'm
I mean,
sympathetic.
Here's the thing, you know, it's just a risk.
Yeah.
I'm pretty conscientious about the function of my office and the responsibilities, and I guarantee you, I wouldn't be asking you for help if I didn't need it.
I agree with you. I don't think you're telling us a story. I think every bit of what you're saying is true. It's just revenues versus expenditures and balancing those things. I was really hoping to get you that clerk because I really think you need that clerk. And if that's something the commissioners, you know, if you guys don't mind going deeper in into the budget reserve to do something like that, I'm open to that concept. But again, when I was already almost $600,000 into the reserve, it started at some point, I just had to say, okay, there's so
And,
much we can
You know,
do.
I would suggest as a compromise, take out my part-time line item. Right now I'm using, I think a combination of my markets management and my part-time, because we've been doing a massive adjust project down at the annex.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's only going to contribute probably 1/3 of the salary that I would need, but I would be willing to take that line item out if that helps. I don't have a lot of wiggle room.
It's not that, forgive me. So when we built these budgets, we built them upon what we're currently doing, not what we had or what we budgeted last year. So when we started looking at these things, again, when I said we had 3 million more in requests than we had in revenues, that's not a joke. That's actually the case. So, and I'm not saying that's her office. That's not the case. but everybody, the cost of living went up. Joe Biden's inflation, everything's up. So where we're at is we use the actual payroll numbers that we had for the last payroll in, the first payroll in July. So that's what you're looking at. So if part-time's missing, it's because we didn't have anybody on part-time payroll at that time for the preceding year. I'm not opposed to part-time, not opposed to full-time. All that being said, at some point I ran out of revenue. So I got to figure out how to, you want to raise taxes? Nobody here is going to vote for that. So the question is, how do we rob Peter to pay Paul and allocate these? And these are questions that are going to have after these hearings. And we're going to hear from Marshall. We're going to hear from, Chrissy, who wants somebody else, and some other folks. And I think, what's that? No, I got to give her a whole somebody else first, though. So.
I want the whole. I'm gonna give her the hat.
So what I'm getting at is that there's going to be a lot of very valid requests here. And I don't want anybody to think these elected officials are coming up here and just blowing smoke. They're not. I see their positions. I really wanted to put somebody else in our office to help with the workload that we picked up, but I can't do that when I tell everybody else no.
So Michelle, what's the fallout from the state filing timing? Looks like you have a mountain of reports.
If you don't do, well, the most egregious is CJIS. Our CJIS reporting is mandatory on criminal matters disposition within 10 days. I think the statute actually says 30, but my rule is 10 days. Get it in, get it done.
You're going to scale life on it because I thought that statute said 32. So,
Yeah, it's in the 30
okay.
part, but for the purpose of our office, case disposition in 30 days. And so it is 10 days. That's our goal always, is to have criminal history reported. If you don't report those and you don't meet the 90% threshold on a 5-year look back, all the grant funding to this county will be suspended.
Yep.
Just no questions asked. And these new OCA reporting requirements are going to fall under that same governor's incitement of, if you don't do it, we're not going to give you any grant funds. And that's grant funds across the board, not just specific to courts or grants that are, that have to do with it.
Runs from our OCA grants, our VOCA grants, our SERI grants, anything coming out of the Justice Department that the state's going to manage. Any grant the state has a head in it.
Particularly affects the jail particularly.
Yeah, they don't get any grants, but yes, I wish they got grants. Anyway, we don't. It's the same thing we've been doing the whole time. The risk is we get the job done or we don't get the job done, just like every other county in this state. And my take is we've done it so far, so clearly we're doing it. How we're doing is a different story.
New regulations.
Oh, these regulations are going to be, they change
These are
every
in
2
addition
years.
to.
These are in addition to. Some of these are.
All of the reporting that I'm already doing.
So a lot. And
These
some,
are to do with case clearance rates. The other thing that they're asking in this legislation is for all of us to set our case management systems across each county, particularly that are Tyler clients, are customized. There's no statewide uniform case management system. They all are programmed and behave individually independent. This state mandate says that, and I'll give you a simple example. If we issue an indictment and that person hasn't been arrested on that felony offense, once the capias or the warrant is issued, that case should be set inactive immediately because there's no action required by the court.
so it's not a new reporting, it's a new requirement. So we're not reporting other than saying that something that's
So
actually
then when
not
that
actually true.
warrant comes back, now there's action required by the court. This case would then become active again. I'm supposed to completely revamp the configuration and actually how our events work in Odyssey. There's hundreds of them across all case types, because this isn't just exclusive to criminal reporting. This is every case type that we do.
Did you
So
ever-
we're supposed to turn on and turn off these cases as appropriate based on the court's action. If the ball's in the litigants' park, then it's inactive. If the ball's in the court's park, then it's active. And I'm supposed to do the reprogramming to configure all of that so that this reporting will be active.
And actually, they didn't figure out who during reprogramming. You saw the budgetary note on this, the fiscal note.
Yeah, no impact.
Yeah. They expect that Tyler Technologies is going to do this for free. They've never done anything for free.
And I've already reached out to Tyler and spoken to our CSAM about this. And if you want reconfiguration done across all of your events and case types, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay heavily. It would be upwards of $12,000 to get them down here on site to do an assessment and then redo it.
That's just assessment. That's not the entire.
That's a ball.
Yeah, that's all, it's gonna be more down at the end.
Cause it's not just me, it's Nicole too, and it's all the four JPs.
Yep.
So, Shonda, in the budget book, there is a capital again for Marshall's part-time wages. It is blank for the proposed year and it will should be 26,000.
You gave me bad information. Shame on you. Okay, what is it supposed to be? 26? Okay.
Does that have to stay in there or can you use that?
Well, whatever the person is employed for has to be doing their. Because what those people down there, and I think one of those paid out of our rating money, and one's paid out of our.
That's not a reason why we're there.
The other item to look at, which if we're good with the reporting,
Yeah, that's no doubt we've got that because that's what it says there. But she's saying the current year's typo in those numbers is supposed to be 26. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
is, and I've never seen this before, on bonds and insurance, if you look at my current, like expenditure report, it says I'm an over 650.
I just don't see that being accurate. Yeah. Did you go over 650?
I've signed one bond this year.
So, yeah.
One invoice for one bond, so I don't know, Rachel might look at that.
Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, I doubt you went over bonds and insurance that much, to be honest with you. We had,
I mean, I have a deputy bond and the elected's bond.
so we had
Those are the two.
4,300 last year and 4,300 this year. Is the actual bond amount we figured going to be different than that?
I haven't gotten any notice of any increase in premium or anything like that. Yours gone up?
No. So we haven't.
So
either.
maybe Nicole's is in there with me. You're welcome.
Did you get over on her?
I don't know.
You don't get over on her like that. That's not nice.
I don't think I was gonna email you that, Rachel, but I haven't had an opportunity.
Well, it's one of those things, like I said, we found many issues in there when we were doing this. And so thanks for bringing it to our attention. We make sure we go back and check that.
The one other new thing in this budget
Uh-huh.
is with the auxiliary courtroom, we added a copier over there.
Yes, we need to pay for that.
And I put it in our contract services line item.
Okay, I thought we were putting in jury, but I'm okay with that too.
It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I'm cool with you doing it because it actually works out better for me.
Well, then when it's time to renew, she gives me a pretty good rate.
Exactly.
Because I've got two upstairs.
I'm
and I've got
all about
one up
that. And yeah, gentlemen, I wholeheartedly endorse that by putting that in hers. Two things, because she already has two. Again, she does get a better rate by volume. And number two, having somebody over the top of a machine instead of just
It's
some.
got passcodes
barrel
for,
machine.
for who uses it, the Judge Arian and his coordinator
that
and
was-
the Attorney General's office.
Yeah.
And I make them bring the
It's not
paper.
perfect. Yeah, so anyway, we'll get that in there. Thank you for that. I do appreciate
So
it.
you can switch it.
Okay, cool. All
I
right,
noticed that it was over there, but and I think I included the amount in my proposed.
yeah, it was
That-
20, what, no, what, $2,200, forgive me. You go back to jumping around, bear with me. There we go. The amount of that was what?
So the total would be 6980 for all three.
Well, we already did that then. I put 6980 in your budget.
Did you?
Yes, ma'am. Then, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I sleep too often because I already have zero. I wanted to talk about this previously because I now have zero in jury and 6980 in your budget.
Okay, perfect.
So we've had this conversation. My
Evidently.
apologies for not
But
remembering.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's not on contract services, it's a machine.
Yeah, no. Okay, so a machine equipment rental in the courthouse is copy machines. Contract services is typically
Like Tyler.
depending.
Yeah.
Or when we hire outside auditors or we hire somebody, I don't know, there's different options, but typically the auditors like to have machine equipment and rental. That's where our copy machines go. Copy machines, envelope folding machine, postage machine, that kind of stuff. So go ahead.
The other thing that is included, I mean, I kind of have an insulating amount in records management for special stuff. In the records management budget, this year I intend to get 2 more of those scanners. So then the ones that, and they, because, yes. My intent is to eventually replace all of those cannons in the office because these others are much faster. The volumes of things that pro se litigants bring over the counter and the envelopes and all the things, you have to copy the envelope because it won't pull those through a Canon copier. These, what are they, feed copiers? Thank you. They pull the whole thing. So my girls get frustrated with the inefficiency of those cannons, and now they're all scanning. I can't just delegate that to Mary.
We need to sit down with Susan and look at this budget again. Have you had a chance to do that?
On records management?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
If she gets back this week, we got a projected beginning cash balance of October 1 of 14,000. That sounds low.
I think it is, but
Like really, really, really low. Yeah, no. I totally understand. And that's the reason when I looked at it, I went, I think that number needs, because if that was the case, that the expenditure, the revenues plus the beginning balance doesn't even add up to the expenditures. But that's the reason I think that number is low, because there was a lot more in that number last year.
the number I had was 37.
That's what I was thinking. Like a lot more money. Yeah, so.
I'll follow up with her.
Thank you for that.
No.
But anyway, so you've got that capital outlay at 4101 in that line for 5,000. But is that enough to cover those two?
Yes,
Okay,
because
cool.
I'll buy one out of my regular budget. I'm hoping to go ahead and buy one or maybe two, depending on how this budget pans out, the rest
Okay.
of it this year, and then the other in the next budget cycle. So
Makes sense.
they'll be inside of my budget already of what you allocated for our
Yeah,
office,
good.
but I think that helps out IT and because those aren't cheap. They're,
No.
They're almost $1,000 each.
Yeah.
For those.
yeah, no, they're super expensive.
But they.
But they last. I
busy.
mean, Mary's had hers for 5 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's,
Still holding up.
yeah, it does the volume and we don't have to replace rollers and it's awesome.
Awesome.
So I think that's it.
Okay, cool. Just on the 249 fund, the archive, we've got basically stuff coming in. We've got contract services.
I don't think I've spent anything out of that. budget.
Yeah, I think that number's way low too. And again, this is a proposed budget. Ms. Susan has had her hands full with a lot of different things. So we really appreciate her getting what she did. She cleaned up a heck of a mess over there. So that being said, just everybody check.
I'll have her check on the revenue.
You're awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay. Guys, commissioner, questions for the district clerk?
Charlie, I believe if Michelle's planning to train somebody to take her place at some point in time,
Yeah.
and if.
Well, it's the bus, I
if
call it the
this-
bus factor. It's for like, it's,
What's the use?
I want somebody to be able to step
Well-
in and learn everything that I do. Clerk's records are insane. There's 75 claim submissions this year, which is quadruple what it was last year. These folks are appealing like crazy.
Oh, can I get your input on something else while I got you here? It's not technically your budget, but the county dispute resolution fund. This is a fee that started getting charged a couple of years ago. Marshall was
2020
instrumental.
was imposed.
Yeah. So Marshall was instrumental in getting that together with the district judges and figuring out the system. We have to use this for dispute resolution, think mediation, arbitration kind of things. It has finally a little bit of money in it this year. And we're proposing a minor expenditure amount. I'm going to go talk with Judge Harris. I think 5,000 is probably too low. We have
Oh, for sure.
13,000 in proposed revenue.
Because I guarantee you, once we get the program up and running and it's forward facing on, our website that's required.
Yes.
Then I think we're gonna see a lot more of this, particularly in pro se litigants.
Would you have any objection to us putting the expenses to equal the revenues for the years?
I
Okay,
think
cool.
That's really smart. It's, it's gonna, once it's forward facing to meet the statute, it's gonna be crazy.
I think so too. So cool.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate
And I'll
you.
get with you, Philip, on getting a page set up on our county website. I think that's the most appropriate place, Judge, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think it's the best place.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right, Miss Hightower, come on. You're next contestant up.
I don't know what I would-
Sorry, how was your epic?
He's adjusted, we got the 17, we got. Oh, no, sorry. Brain freeze, brain freeze. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, 3, 4, 3.
You got close to.
Well, let's just see what we got here real quick. I think that's in the general ballpark. I think it may be.
There was a little bit of a fund that, you know, unused income
Well, here, let's do this.
that we're able to use.
So,
That better approval rate.
okay, cool. So what we've got here then on section 8, which is the total tax revenue.
You know what? I separated it. I told them, look, I want you to separate it from the county
Thank God.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
It needed to be because it was
The
terrible.
county
There's no way.
and the lateral road. I'm like,
Bless you. Oh, good,
No,
because
she's like, you're the first one that's requested this. I said, fire.
she has
I
to be
am
allowed.
not the only one that has requested.
So anyway,
this.
this 3-4, okay, so what we've got, then I'll show you what we built the budget on right here is my distribution sheet. Bear with me just a second. Here we go, distribution sheet. So distribution sheet, we built it on general fund of 0.345645.
Yes, we're a little bit better over here.
Okay, so we're gonna see a little bit more.
807.
So let's talk about tax revenue real quick and the tax proceeds. We're taking a stab at some things on the proposed budget before we get all the numbers in, because it's not just her. We're waiting on numbers from certain parties to come in, numbers from other entities. And so we're going to see a slight adjustment upwards from what we originally saw. I don't know anything about monetary. It's just small. We're going to move from 3.345654 to 3.345807. So it's out of the 1,000th place passed before it changes. And for your road and bridge, we had a 0.60034, and we're actually going to go for a 0.60060. That's the no new revenue rate. So it's slightly higher than the numbers I've been given to work with in this book. So it's going to bring in a few more bucks. It won't be huge.
It's just
So we're
very-
gonna get
Very minimal.
$500,000 more.
No,
No,
but okay. I buy you a piece of
you're gonna
bubble
get
gum.
$1 million more in your new construction.
I keep trying, Scott.
So that's a great point of this, is I want to point this out. We have the no new revenue rate, but you know how the gobbledygook they put out of the state doesn't mean anything. Because we're taking no new revenue on the existing people, it's new revenue. So the new revenue coming in on this is that accurate? That's the new, we're bringing $1,236,000.
It's both of them.
That's combined.
General fund.
Yeah,
But that's
combined.
for no new revenue, and then this is for, if you decide to do the, voter approval.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that because we can't survive the election. We can't hold the election. We have to have this done by the 19th. So anyway, yeah, the difference in funding is going to be a total of about $109,000 between the voter approval and that. And that's, you guys get 8% of that if you took the voter approval. I don't think it's worth the effort. But right there is what we're getting in new monies, that is. So new monies being $2,036.48.
I think it's smart not to take the voter approval rate every single year, or even go in between there, because whatever you have left over that you don't use, so your voter approval rate versus what you've actually adopted, you get to use those pennies
Those increments at a later date.
at a later date. So if y'all needed to use it next year, because
Something
I don't
happened.
know, our market value is not as high, or, you know,
We had a disaster that they don't declare a disaster because the code now says in disaster, you go back to 8%, but we're fighting to see people trying to do that.
yeah.
And the state is slapping them left and right over in East Texas, from hurricane damage. So we're getting at is, yeah, for the de minimis amount of money it would bring in, it's not worth the effort because it's going to pay dividends at a later date if we already need it. So cool, good deal. So that's going to move everything up just a couple of bucks. It's not a huge
It's
change.
not that,
Yeah. It's,
but I was gonna give you a copy of it.
thank you.
This is what I'm giving to Susan for her to just fill out here,
Okay.
and then get it back to me so we can get it
The unencumbered fund
Posted.
balances. Yeah.
posted online tomorrow, and I'll send it to.
And she's got a pretty good guess on that. That's going to be our starting.
I think she
balance.
does too. I mean, she's given me these amounts already.
Oh, great.
She
Good
just
deal. Yeah.
hasn't
So you already got all debt service then? Perfect.
yes,
All right,
yes, she
cool,
just hasn't given me the details of it.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha.
Works for me. I mean, I could technically.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Good deal. Is this my copy or?
Yes.
You're
you
bro-
can give
you
me
rock.
that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So we got, bear with me, I'm maneuvering some things around here in my workbook for just a second. Okay, dokey. We're gonna go over here to tax assessor collector. And so that's an oversight on my part. We'll get that to you. Your budget, which you gave to me, is in my workbook at home.
I was late, that's my
No,
fault.
no, that's okay. That's okay. The workbook that sits on the desk at the house where I get most of the budget work done.
Up there.
No. I have the proposed.
Okay.
I have the proposed budget, so we're good.
Okay.
And then I just noticed this is Susan's and I'm using it today because I forgot mine at the house. So Susan's doesn't have it in here either, so I need to put it in here. as well.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
As far as the salaries, I did the same thing as for my chief deputy that Rachel did, Nicole did, and Michelle did. Just for my chief deputy, and the rest I figured at 3%, which is
Okay.
whatever the board decides, actually.
We have a placeholder right now, 3.2%, which is the inflation rate for Social Security. index.
Okay. Well, I don't have that figured into this, so.
Okay.
The only other thing that I wanted to do, and I had asked Rachel, and she's like, yeah, I don't think you can do that. I have a part-timer now who is covered, she's got her own insurance, she's covered through her dad. I would like for her to work more than 28 hours. And she doesn't even need insurance. Is there a way to get around that? Or not?
That's an HR question. I used to think I knew what the federal rules on employment were. I no longer say that. We can ask a question. It won't kill anybody to ask. I just don't know the answer to it off the top of my head. What's that? That's what I
Oh,
was,
so she doesn't have to take the benefits then?
we just have to offer all of them.
I mean, there are certain times during the year that. And I know it's supposed to be done this way, but if we're really, really busy one week and I know that we're gonna be busy, you know, I'm like, hey, Rachel, I'm gonna have her, she's gonna be working 4 hours over, like, she'll cut it back, you know, this next week, but I just want her to be able to work a little bit more than 28 hours.
Like
But
a full 40, 30? I mean, what are you thinking? Where you at?
I mean, I would like to have a full-time person, but if that's not the case, then,
And I don't deny anybody the request.
we did the math on it, and I think between the pay for a full-time person and a part-time person, the difference is about $10,000, but that's with no insurance.
No insurance.
That's no insurance, no, none of the other stuff that we.
So the other thing, and this is from personal experience, if she's on her parents' insurance
Mhm.
and her job offers her insurance, I'm no expert, there's gonna be implications of that under the Affordable Care Act. We ran into this problem with my wife
Oh,
and her
wow.
business. So just something she needs to look at, and I don't want to talk her personal business in court, but something that she needs to look at.
Okay.
If she gets offered insurance from one place, then she's not eligible to get it
Right.
elsewhere
Would
sometimes.
that be a liability?
No, I think that they're, well, for the county, I don't know, but for her, I think that she can't lie to an insurance company.
You don't tell the federal government lies. It doesn't work out good for anybody. Yeah.
The only reason why I say is because the state is giving us another RTS computer.
Oh, they have.
Yeah, well, they haven't yet.
Oh,
We're-
they promise.
We're on the list, yeah.
We're on the list.
We are able to get another one, I should say. And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, of course we want one. We want all 5 of those windows filled up at all times. And then Diane or me, I love working counter, or Liz or Brenna could go up front and we'll have 6 computers up front. So that would be the only reason. The only other thing that I think I changed is the dues and the memberships
Yes.
because so far, we have designations, you know, we go to school, we get designations. I'm a professional county collector as well as a county tax office professional. And I lack one class being a professional county assessor collector. So it's a PCC, a CTOP, and a PCAC.
C-top.
A CTOP, yes.
Nice.
So Brenna and I are both PCCs. Diane has one class left to become a PCC. Liz has 2 classes left.
Oh, wow.
And then this next budget cycle, Amber and Scarlett are gonna start school.
So we have dues and memberships, 325 last year. We put it up to 450.
50, yes.
Is that
and
enough?
it's- Mine's 150 and the girls are 75 apiece, so.
Oh, okay.
450,
So-
yeah. Yes.
And we have training mileage and reimbursement at your request too.
Yes, I did up that because of. I don't necessarily have to travel because I can drive back and forth. I think the next. I just have to get my hours. I don't have to take any more classes. I go to a conference in
Okay.
Waco and I can drive back and forth and get my hours. Brenna's the same way. But the girls do have to travel, and the only 2 places that they offer classes right now, I mean, it's been like this since 2020, is Conroe and Longview. So Liz has driven to Longview twice already.
Well, if you're in El Paso, this has got to stink.
I know. No, this is all over Texas.
Yeah, no, I understood what you're telling me.
And also, like, I can't, to get this last security advanced course that I need, it has to be at a conference that I attend. So it could be a conference, like, they don't offer them anywhere else. You have to get it at the conferences. So I've gotten 3 of them at the conferences, but I can't get that 4th one. Oh, and they don't offer the same one every time.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to wait years to get it. Crazy.
Good.
Anyway, so, Diane, with that being said, Amber and Scarlett will be starting, their classes. Liz and Diane should be complete by the end of 2025 for their PCC and CTOP.
Okay, cool.
So that's the reason I asked for 6,000 rather than,
You
I
got
think I would normally get 4,000, or it might have been 3,500 last year.
It was 3,500 last
Yes.
year. We've got it at 4,500 at the moment.
Okay.
I'm not saying no to 6, just we got to see how
Right.
it's going to pan out.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I don't believe there's any money wasted on education. Educated people make our life
Right.
better and make the county a better place.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the points of my opponent. I didn't let my girls go to school. Anyway. I think everything else is pretty much the same. I don't know what the telephone is. I didn't put anything down for that. I don't pay the telephone.
That's kind of like the machine equipment and rental one. We're going to go through and find out the actual cost on those lines. We needed a bit of a placeholder.
And I know postage looks kind of funky, but you know, I pay my postage right at the end of
Yeah, and that's and we-
October.
yeah,
Like
no.
it's that big $15,000 amount.
Yeah.
So it looks like I don't use that much postage, but actually I do.
That's what we have to do for everybody. Is we look
Yeah.
at your year to date of 531, then I got to go back and look at your previous years and see how your spending was, because there's so many things that come up. Like, for example, the jury fund. If you look at the jury fund right now, you're like, Judge, why are you putting more money in it? There's no way I'm going to spend all that money. Nope. Every one of these lawyers at the last minute will drop all their invoices on us. Not everyone, most of them though. But yeah, I got what you're saying. The other thing is we had to go up on your software and maintenance, and that went from 47,482 to 52,291.
I'm gonna evaluate that. I'm gonna sit down and
Okay.
the commissions and really see this versus this. See if it's even worth us paying for PACs, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, okay.
I mean, honestly,
I don't,
as far as the commissions
What
that
is
I
it?
get from,
what does it do?
do what?
What does PAX do?
Oh, PACs is a programming that we use.
Okay.
It's what the appraisal office has. It's what we have. They talk to each other
That must be. handy.
through a supplement. They do.
The supplement, little extra cost.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just keeps going up every year, but I will have to say this. In this, it includes our TNT package, which is normally like $750, I think.
Yeah.
It includes,
True, the taxation is TNT package.
I think that we've got like they store something somewhere else, I think. Remember, we don't do the tapes anymore?
No, there's offsite package.
Yes, they store something, they do all that, so that's in there too.
Okay. Hotel motel tax collection. How are things going on that?
You hear up here? So,
Sorry.
we're gonna tag team you.
What's that?
I said, we're gonna tag team you.
That's not fair. Don't want me.
We've talked a lot about it. I think both of us running the numbers that we have the exact numbers yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're making any money at all. We're paying what, 20?
So, Brian,
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut expenditures pretty large in that budget now that I found that out about 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
Are people just not paying like they were?
I don't know. Well, we didn't have this program that we have now that
The
we
GovOS,
pay,
yeah.
the GovOS, yeah. And I was like, Rachel, we've already got all the names of all the people. Let's just ditch them. No.
I
I
mean,
mean, honestly,
there's new ones pop all the time. The reason we hired those.
no,
guys.
I know.
But
And everybody, it seems like everybody's putting in a Airbnb or a whatever the other thing,
See,
like everybody is doing that.
yeah, it seems like if you go on Airbnb in Churchill County, you got a lot more options than I would think.
I'm telling you,
But
there's
then
a ton of them
And
now.
that's just like one of 27 different sites we were told that exist. My curiosity is those people that we may notice and they don't pay. Is this something we can turn over to McCreary? McCreary back across the Sucking Allen or.
I think that, I want to say that Limeberger, I think I remember somebody saying that Limeberger does do that for some of their clients, but I don't know, I haven't asked.
I just
Mary
have
about it.
concerns because you have the hotel motel people and they're stationary. We know them and they're remitting the tax that these folks, these citizens got put in.
So where does,
That's not-
what are we doing with the money? Like, where is it at? Where's it being spent?
Oh, right here in special budgets under hotel motel tax.
I mean, I know, but do we give it to somebody and they advertise for us? I
We
mean,
have the website, we pay for the upkeep and maintenance on it. We pay for the Hotel Motel Association in the state of Texas.
Mhm.
We pay for GovOS out of that.
Okay.
We're also paying for, there's one more here I'm forgetting. So my deal is, how much are we collecting versus how many are out there? And how do we improve collections in your office? How do we make this where it's a viable deal?
I
Because
mean.
it's one of those things that really bothers me. If we're spending more than we're collecting in, we don't need to be doing that.
Absolutely. And you can ask her, whenever I told her it was a son of a gun to get people to, not necessarily to get, because the main people come in and pay, the hotels and motels that are outside the city, they come in and pay. It is probably the Airbnb people, but also I don't have the staff that can sit down and make phone calls, which is what WS wants us to do. They're like, you phone them, call. Like, I don't have somebody that can sit down and call. That, you know, or draft up a letter that, or did they send out?
They drafted. So they sold us that. And remember that in the
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, in this fund, you know, we've got a beginning balance of 110,000 allegedly. And again, that's a guess. The beginning balance is a guess and it's Susan's best guess. And I believe it's probably close to being right. If not right, it's very conservative. Then you're looking at revenues of 39,000. You know, we adopted 25,000 last year and it seems like the collection's on the rise. Interest of 4,200, that's over the 780 interest we last year. So we're looking at total revenues of, and this is Hill County Tourism where that's collected at, $43,200.
I think we could get rid of the website, honestly.
I mean, maybe not. What's that? Yeah,
And
For saying, well, it's Airbnb, Chrissy has Airbnb. If I'm paying, being truthful, and I contact Chrissy and call and say, hey. I should-
exactly. That's my concern. Yeah.
So we need to figure out On that side of it, and who's gonna enforce it and manage it, and maintain it.
Yeah.
Or can we just get rid of it?
So, you know, we're looking at contract dues and memberships, 1,500, contract services. That's where we pay for the website along with some other things out of it, 39,605. 500 for miscellaneous, and this 20,000 payment to agencies. I don't recall what that was. That's, she's an agency? We should pay for her out of contracts. But we haven't paid anything out of that this year. So I don't think that payment to agencies is what that's for. I think she's getting paid out of the 2305 contract services. So if you look at year to date, and I looked at the invoices you gave me, there's actually invoices because she won the bid for managing the website. You recall, well, we may not have been here, but after bid, nobody gave us a bid. Everybody's so excited. But after bid, nobody gave us a bid. The third time, Ms. Hemrick was the only person who gave us a bid. So what we had was out of that contract services, the 2305 is what we're paying her. My question is that 7201 payments to agencies. I don't know. And that's where I'm at because we've not had it in previous years until last year. We've had Ms. Emmerich for 3 years now. So that's not
It has
what,
to be in there.
that's not what she is. So automatically, what is that? Because it was budgeted apparently for last year. I don't recall it and I have no notes on it in my budget. And then we paid nothing on it this year to the date that I'm, to my knowledge. So it's just like 20 grand that's meh. Did we owe money back to the comptroller? Because that happened one year.
Mm-mm.
They paid us too much. We had to pay back. So that's not it. So I don't know what that payments to agencies is.
I thought that's what it was. I thought that was the website.
I mean, that's not.
It's not the website. It's not where we're paying it from. I checked it. Yeah, no. So my deal is with that 20,000 out of there, suddenly it's a break-even proposition where it's at. I think we need to collect it. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, the taxpayer in Hope County, a lot of people went to a large trouble. Believe me, they beat us over the head to get this thing done. But the question is, how do we better improve our collections? And that's something I want to talk with McCreary about is how do we do this better? You know, I understand your position, but then the same things to be said of Rachel's office and she's the treasurer, not tax collector. How do we get together, sit down?
Well, the
figure this
treasurer,
out?
if you contact a bunch of the other counties, it's not the tax collector that does this, it's the treasurer's office that does it.
Yeah, that's
I
other
mean,
counties. That's other counties though. That's not here. So, yeah. Sorry, that's not a good argument. It's because
saying, I mean,
My 10 cents is I'm gonna have to put somebody somewhere to do it, because obviously nobody's got what I'm hearing is nobody has the native ability to do it, what they have.
Liz is very aware of how to do it, but she is too valuable. I mean, she's my dealer title clerk. There's
Yeah, yeah.
no way that I can tell her,
Yeah,
hey,
nobody's,
pull away from do
nobody's
this. so you
micromanaging
do-
here, I promise, nobody's micromanaging.
Oh,
But the deal is, we've got something out there that we're, by law, we can collect, we have been collecting. And we gotta figure out a better way of doing it. And the first thing is really not as much collection, because I think most of that's there. It's remittance of those scofflaws, those that are not paying. How do we get some teeth into this,
Okay.
frankly? Because we go after people for delinquent taxes. Is that something that we can find an outside organization to help us with? Because we do it for every other kind of collection. We should be able for this. Then if we can get that under our belt and find that that doesn't improve collections at all, then we need to really come back and redress this thing and see how we're going to operate. I'm all about cutting costs. Anytime we can cut costs, we'll be putting out the contract for maintenance of software again this year. It's been 3 years. This is after this budget season is up. So figured October, we'll put that out. Because we put it out for about every 3 years, frankly, and it's time to do it. So that may come up, that may go down. I don't know. But that payments to agencies, I don't understand that one. I don't know what the heck that's for. Yeah, I saw that and I went back and looked at it and I was like, well, that's in last year's budget. Why is that there? Okay, 37%. Yeah, that's way too high. We got 30, a third of the people that do this flipping the finger at us.
And then, you go to their postal leaders, because
Yeah.
they're not, they're advertising for everybody. And then,
Where are we advertising that? That's what I
so
said.
EHLA advertises, it's still EHLA.
Texas Hotel Motel Association.
Okay,
The Texas Hotel Lodging Association, forgive me. They advertise for us. You'll see their advertisements and everywhere from Texas Highways Magazine, Texas Monthly. You'll see it on websites. You'll see it all over the place. Sometimes maps, not as much anymore. You'll see a good bit of that kind of stuff.
okay.
So it's been Advertised. And then the Getaway Capital of Texas website, we actually own that. Because we got designated at these folks that got us this tax, got that designation a couple of years beforehand. So we have that
Is there a
and
way to see if there's a flow on that website?
520 it's a year.
how many? 529?
Me,
Yeah, it's not a whole lot.
I don't know if it,
Yeah, no, I got you. Well,
I mean, I could pop a little tab on mine.
yeah, do it.
I mean,
Good. You're volunteering. I like it.
give me that 10,000, 20,000. No.
All right, start collecting the money. It's an easy trade. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, done.
So cool. All right, what else you guys got for us today?
I'm done.
All right, copacetic. All right, thank you
Okay.
very much. Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you.
I had a question.
Are we transitioning?
We'll have a vote for it at next meeting, and not tomorrow, next week. Everybody needs time to digest this. This thing's got to move around.
About the whole insurance thing, is that something that?
That's above my pay grade. I'm sorry. Have her inquire of her.
I never get health insurance.
No. It's not that you don't get health insurance, because I'm not talking about school. There's other people that don't get health insurance. The difference is this, is so that when you get offered health insurance through a job, it changes your ability to be on other people's health insurance. So, for example, when they first came out this whole Obamacare ACA thing, my wife is working as self-employed, working as contract employee. And she was trying to get health care that way through the exchange, I guess is what they call that thing. But because she could get it, even though she did not take it, but she could get it through the work, which would have cost 3 times as much. Yeah, she couldn't get it through the exchange. So there's ramifications there. I just know from personal experience, and I only say it so that somebody doesn't stick themselves in a bad situation and come back later and go, "I'm sorry."
Michelle, because she's on Lyle's insurance, she never took the county insurance.
Still takes off.
Oh, she does? Oh, well, maybe their insurance.
I don't know. I don't know the answer on these things.
That this cost the county offers the insurance.
Yeah.
Not just gonna go to Medicare.
Yeah.
This last one, that's one thing I went through, that.
Really? Oh, wow. So I'm just saying, I don't know the whole, just there are some ramifications, just to be aware of them. So let her check those out. You know, I'm not,
I had a question for Chrissy.
Yes,
Have you thought any more about doing away with the taxes?
that's what we were just talking about.
Okay, let's see, you all use acronyms and I lose out. on some of that.
Oh, doing with hotel motel? That's the conversation we're having.
Property,
He's talking about property taxes.
I'm talking about property tax.
When I told him that I would look into the 52,000 versus what we collect from
Well, I'm just. wondering,
commissions.
I mean, that would save the county money. And you know, this time you
Have
did
you
have,
figured out what I collect for each entity? And what commissions we actually get from each
there's
entity?
no collection other than just the small deals. The 2% or whatever for the county.
No, I get I get a percent from the college, both the ESDs. And City of Martin, City of Penelope, and Tawakoni.
Will you get enough to pay one employee?
That's what, to pay what?
Will you get enough just to pay one employee?
Oh, no.
I'd like to see that. But I was just thinking, you had somebody running for your slot this time, and the guy was unknown, and he got nearly half as many votes as you did. And he was running and put the big ad in the paper, but he never explained anything, which I thought was sort of odd, but that's not my fault. But I just thought it would save the county quite a bit of money to turn the taxes that the Hill had, and I've had several people tell me how stupid it is to go to two places to pay your taxes.
Well, they could
And then
just
other-
collect all of them.
Huh?
I said, or they could just let me collect all of them. I'll look into that, Judge, and let you know.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
I think that's it.
No other special budgets. We're good. Your VIT is not something
I'm
we
about to give
consider.
you a lot of money over there in precinct one. Or
you-
County Road 12.
You're gonna throw your VIT to us before we.
Oh, yes, I got that.
Good.
I actually have it ready, I'll just. Get it,
We just gotta catch.
Take that over.
Do it.
We get text off, take it over.
Are
Okay,
you really?
It's working.
No, I've heard that just a couple of people don't want that because people would drive too fast, like they drive too fast anyway now.
No matter what we do, we should be straight, it's not happening.
I think that'd be good though, cause we've heard it's gonna be paid for a long time now. I go wash my car every day.
It's a lot of work,
It is. I mean, that's literally from Peoria to Blum. 1212, County Road 1212.
Oh.
It's on the 30.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Time for the commissioners. Jim, what you got?
well, I'm only gonna put my budget in here, so what you give me?
Oh, I didn't give you anything. I gave it all to Larry, so he quit picking.
My budget's not gonna be.
What road and bridge is on there? Road and bridge? Should be road and bridge on the page 79.
I mean.
No. What I gave you is here. Oh, your budget, what you had.
Actually, when I.
You on page 79. No, back that way. You're on page 79, proposed budget.
79.
79, proposed budget, 79. You gotta keep on track. So if you look, you guys, the best way to look at your budgets in my mind is this way. So you look on page 79 is where he is, but go back here to the front of this book. And you're going to find in the front of your proposed budget, the recapitulation page, which falls on page number 9. And why do we look at the recapitulation on yous and not the rest of the guys? It's easy. Your budgets, Road and Bridge 1 through 4 and FM Lateral 1 through 4, they roll over each year. Any money you don't use, they go back. The rest of us have to fight for scraps out of the general fund and none of ours roll over. So if you look at Road and Bridge 1, the beginning balance is he thought of 350,000 in Road and Bridge 1. And we budgeted the money where you have about 20,000 left. You could actually budget a little more than that. The auditor likes to see about $5,000 or so as a cushion in case we don't collect everything we're going to collect on taxes. Rarely does it happen, but sometimes.
I like a wider cushion.
No,
That's
all-
just fine.
Okay, and then, so all of these, you have to understand, I see what total resources, that's what your beginning balance is, plus all revenue sources this year, ad valorem taxes, fines, fees, overweight permits, your cut of all that. That's just road and bridge. We're not talking about FM lateral yet. So that's beginning balance plus all revenue sources equals total resources. Road and Bridge 1 starts with 350,000, 813 in revenue. And you'll see all the revenues are pretty close. You guys are going to look at Road and Bridge 3, go, God, he gets more. If you want his problems, I'm sure he'll trade with you right now.
Hell no.
I always get less, so I think it's time to float that around
Well,
and sort of move.
how many of them decrepit bridges you going to give him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
still got 11 wooden bridges.
11. Yeah.
30 phone calls a day, 30 years.
It's hard not to answer all of them, but we try. Kidding, anybody listening to that at home. Okay, so Road and Bridge one, what we did is obviously, if you look on page 79, we allocated by what your current budget, your current employee payroll is, and that's how we come up with the total salaries and benefits. Then your operating expenses, we want to probably either last year or what you've requested. Most of it's what last year was. Some people will go with your individual budgets requested. My take on this is however you wish to move those monies within that total bottom line is your heart's desire. I am okay with, and I don't presume to tell you how to do your business. I just know that I have one overwhelming number, and that number, you'll find it on page 9. And that is the ending balance. It can't be below $5,000. So if your total resources are 1.163866 million, great. However,
It's only $500,000 short of what I want.
I know it's close though, isn't it?
Amen.
Close.
But half of that is those two bridges,
Yeah.
$250,000, and that's got to be done.
Yes, sir.
I've got to buy a new maintainer.
Yes, you got a maintainer issue. Yeah.
I have one maintainer that's coming up. In the next 2 months, that was on a lease. And the way it was done is just not financially smart. You leased it, you paid for it, at the end of the road, you either buy it or turn it back, you got nothing.
Okay.
I've been talking to some people that know about the value, and I think given the hours I've got on the machine, I'm probably going to buy that machine
Okay.
and then add another and buy that machine.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what makes up that additional $500,000 that I didn't get.
I wish I could give it to you, but I'm not into raising taxes, so it stinks. But I agree. This is you guys hear this, you people listening at home, people in the courtroom. This is the thing we go through every year. You know, we get people call, why didn't my road pay? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? Well, how much you want your tax rate to be? If you want reasonable taxes, the reason you moved here, this is what things look like. And we just have X number of resources to dedicate to a double X number of allocations. Anyway.
Well, at some point, I'm gonna have to figure out how to make all that work, and we'll just work within the parameters that we can ultimately get to,
Yes, sir.
and that's about as best as we can do. But I think if we don't do those bridges on 1345, that's going to continue to happen. Flood.
I agree.
And I think that's
That's
not good.
Jim, I think if you even put the bridges in no more than what the width between those houses, you're still gonna have a continuous problem. Even though you've got an outlet for it, but you've only got so much room to get that water there.
Well, I talked with Arlen about that on site, when we went in and looked at that, and there are some things that have to happen. And one of those is widening and deepening that flowway to the bridge, what would be one of the bridges, and it's on both sides. But if that guy ever tries to build another house out there, I'm gonna come and seek a TRO.
Good, dude.
And you had some conversations with FEMA about expanding their floodplain map and reevaluating that. Did you ever get any traction from them?
Nope, not yet, but we will continue to allocate and with the thing, yeah, go ahead.
It's very simple to get the floodplain map changed. All I have to do is the floodplain administrator put in a letter thing. But when I do that, it's gonna put the screws to those two people that now have flood insurance. It would make the flood insurance more expensive than before. So that's why I didn't move forward trying to pursue thing to put those two houses in the
Well, I
flood.
think there's one house, I might be wrong, there's two houses probably that stood and flooded out. That 4 feet water, they had flood insurance,
Right.
guy next door.
Yeah, he does now.
He bought,
He bought.
he walked away from the house. There is a posting on the door that they have made a big explain. It said, anyway, that's his issue.
Well, that's something that we're going to have to look up and do. That's the facts is that never should have been built. We should have never had it allocated. So we're in a position now, how do we fix it? What they're gonna talk about mitigation monies, that's one of the ways we're gonna help you out with these bridges. Yeah, is it gonna happen tomorrow? No, it's gonna be a year from now. But if we apply for the hazard mitigation monies on this, I think we've got a damn good shot of getting that money.
Where are we gonna apply for? We're not, we can get the disaster, so what mitigation are we?
How many times have we had a disaster in Northern County, we got a mitigation? Every single one was linked to that. The mitigation money will come back around before one money, if that shows up, we just don't ever apply for it. Because we usually don't have anything we can apply for. You've got a pretty good project here. So with this Cat B, the category B, that's gonna give us some minor money to fill back those some things that, that have happened. Emergency repairs. It stinks that we didn't get the well, it stinks that FEMA came in and disallowed all these projects that we had. And as hard as we fought for them, you guys fought for them. I'm sorry, it's politics. It was the same thing when Obama was president. We didn't, well, shoot, the city of West blew up and they had to go do personal pleas with the president to get him to include it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't include politics, but politics happen. And when the opposing party is in office, we have historically had a hard time of getting our FEMA disaster recognized. I hate that that's the way it is, but that's the life. They sent a no team out here. Those people, no. TDM knew what the story was. They let us know straight up what's going on. They advocated for us. They did everything they could for us. The problem is when the feds say no, we got no. But what I'm getting at is even with Cat B, we're still going to be availability of mitigation at a later date. I believe. So if I'm wrong, let's prove it up. But I think there's a possibility.
It's worth pursuing.
That's what I'm reading at the moment. I've been going with this. I've been going with phone calls.
So if you are going to, you're going to go for Cat B, literally by Thursday. Is everything due on Friday?
Okay.
So that means it has to be Thursday, 1 o'clock.
I can't post it in accordance with Texas government code to not violate Texas Open Meeting Act. So I have to have 72 hours for a closed meeting. So if you only need 2 commissioners in there and you don't need a quorum, we can have that meeting anytime. But if we have to have a quorum with the commissioners court, it is not physically possible to do that. It's just not. We can't do it.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong.
You brought that.
That's not sure it is.
Good.
Hey, Judge, this is Martin. Can y'all hear me okay?
Doing fine, Martin. We hear you good.
Okay. And so if we're talking about the requirements to move forward in the process or at least hold our place, we need to conduct an applicant brief and fill out the RPA. The applicant brief, all it requires is 1 representative from the county to be eligible to move forward. It doesn't even matter who it is. It can be you, it can be Tom, it can be a commissioner, it can be Chris Jackson, 1 person for the county.
Okay, great. Thank you for that information. So we don't have to have an actual meeting of the court then.
That is correct.
Okay, that takes that load off. And what is that applicant brief going to be? Like the previous applicant briefs I've been a part of, just a basic how things work and how they're going to go forward?
Yes, sir. Very preliminary. And really it's just so we can tell FEMA that we've discussed the process, you understand the process, and so we can move forward. Right now, just for clarification, according to FEMA, you've been denied all categories of PA except category B, emergency protective measures. If you want to appeal their determination, there's an appeals process that we can provide you that information. That way you can say, well, we disagree. We want another look at our position in Hill County, and then let them decide again, yes, no, or otherwise. But as it stands now, I'm going to read it from the letter so I don't misquote it. Among other counties, Hill County is not the severity or magnitude to warrant their designation for all categories of public assistance. You are, again, approved for public assistance category B, and this is the weird part, limited to direct federal assistance. But I believe that all things emergency protective measures that you've conducted or were subject to during the response phase of the incident is eligible for reimbursement. But we have to satisfy the fact, the applicant brief and the RPA.
Okay, so the applicant brief, we could designate somebody to do that.
Yep.
Remind me what's involved in the RPA?
Essentially, it's a request for public assistance. It's telling FEMA through their grants portal that yes, Hill County wants to pursue the next phase in the towards reimbursement. Now, here's my concern. I believe you were declared for category B on May 17th. I need to look and see if that puts you outside the deadline for submitting the RPA, or do we need to request a extension of the deadline to put the RPA in?
Okay, if you'll find that out for me, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And it'll just take essentially a letter of request saying, hey, we were, and there's good justification for it, Judge. I think what we were waiting for Hill County is a determination, the determination for inclusion of all categories or not.
Yeah, no, you guys went over the top and helped us tremendously, and I really appreciate everything that you've done. It's FEMA that's throwing the wrenches at us here, and that's been an issue. I'm of two minds about the appeals process. If we're asking the same people to reconsider their own opinion, they're going to tell us no. But at the same time, if we have the ability to recoup even 75% of the funding we put out during the emergency repairs, I think it's worth our time to do this, because we're talking about one person sitting through a meeting and then me drafting a letter.
Yes, sir. That is correct. It's worth pursuing. I don't want to throw in the towel just yet, and I would recommend the same. I think it's worth pursuing. And like you said, even if you only get emergency protective measures and can make claims for reimbursement towards that, it's better than just throwing in the towel, throwing up our arms and saying, well, forget it.
I agree.
You've already got an awful lot of effort into the process.
Can you be available at 1 o'clock on Thursday?
Well, I think that the part, and I would be absolutely available, but I think the person that has the broadest scope of knowledge in every one of the precincts is Chris. Because he gathered all those things, he put them together, he worked with Jack. I'm trying to know what your thoughts are on it. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Oh, that's not Chris's job, Chris.
I work at the pleasure of the court, so whatever y'all say.
So here's my deal. The reason I'm not opposed to Chris, Commissioner, I think it's better though that we get the direct skinny, because Chris is going to be an intermediary between you and the ultimate. And then that intermediary is going to go away. What we found in the past is it's better if we go straight to the commissioners with it, because what's said by FEMA gets understood by the commissioner, and we don't play telephone with it. We have had problems in the past, the rules changing because of misinterpretations. I think it's best if one of the four of you guys go, and because you're going to be directly handling with it, it's with your contemporaries here at this table. It's worked better that way in the past, is when the commissioner has the direct invest. We've held these meetings in the past, both in commissioner's court, which I think was always the best, had a full court meeting, remember those? And we've done them without a full court meeting. We've had it where two guys are present, and that was okay. My preference would be have the whole court, but due to time constraints, there's no way to do that. And so I really think that one or two members of the court could go and ask all those questions. The reason I mentioned you is not to put you on the bus. You've got the most damage. That's all there is. Who had the second most damage that we turned in? Who had the second most amount?
Big project wise or road?
Well, I guess Redwood.
Those two things.
Oh, you guys are the big ones.
No, these are.
Oh, okay.
He's got.
Okay, so you're clear fourth. You're clear fourth. He's just backing out of this real quick. Yeah. Though Larry and Martin are tied for 2. You're clearly number 1 with the most damage. Larry and you're tied for 2. You be available at 1 o'clock on Thursday?
30, I think so.
Okay.
What, y'all went and looked at the 1256 bridge where I repaired one side and put it back original.
Yes.
Yes.
They were good with that.
Maybe where it is passable.
You okay?
Should be. That hasn't done, for citizens to be able to go across.
Yes.
After all of that. So that should be considered.
Yeah, any kind of temporary repair like that, we can get 75% of that money. Truck, labor. rock.
18,000,
Yeah.
25,000.
Exactly. You can get, and then what we're talking how small our budgets are, that's a huge number to get back.
Right.
Now, if you guys want Chris in the meeting with you, I have no problem with that whatsoever. That's good. So, because he knows some terminology that may be different than the terminology you guys use on a daily basis. But I really appreciate it. Two of my commissioners could be there. That way we don't violate quorum laws. And then we got somebody there. Anybody else that wants to be there, it's not important to be there.
The bridge west of Aquila that y'all looked at, that the head wall was falling. And it's a 20-foot bridge. They had to go through litigation to expand it to 40-foot. Even if I expand it to 40-foot, would they still pay on the 20-foot?
I don't know.
So I'm not sure,
So-
But you know, also, we got the bridge report, there were no inspections on those two bridges.
Are you serious?
Serious.
How
There was
the hell
no
that bridge even pass an inspection?
No inspections on those two bridges.
Well, I know that gravel you put in to open it back up, to oversize the riprap, all that's eligible into this category. Or 75% of that's eligible into this category B. So if you guys can be here at 1 on Thursday, that would be helpful. What do you want?
Chief, it'll be virtual, correct?
That is correct. We can do it virtual, so you can be wherever you are. You can do it over the phone.
Yeah, you can come up here, we can get you on the computer, you can do it from your computer, whatever you do.
Sir?
I'm not a computer genius, but I can figure it out.
Yeah, I see it as a way, even if you're only getting back 100,000, it's $100,000. You know, you spent money, all of you did, on getting roads back after this floods. I think it's unfair that they won't consider these damages, which are more severe than previous damages that were appreciated and paid for by the feds.
So do we get a percentage of what we get back if we push it 3 and 4?
Yeah, maybe you can range that deal, I think. It's twisting arms, you know, you might do something good there.
I think we need to cancel this budget.
Hey. We're not getting real. Okay, cool. Larry, what do you got in your budget? Will you see road and bridge?
Okay, I do,
We're good, thanks.
you put,
Yes.
more in my part-time wages, which that's good.
Did I?
Yes, sir.
Did you ask for that?
No, sir, but I'm glad you did.
Okay, we'll have to figure out why that is.
Mr. Urbanowski comes in very handy on that.
Okay,
I don't have to worry about where he's shredding or where he's spraying, and he just goes to work.
he's pretty good.
Yeah, and like I said, there's 2 bridges. It's gonna I'm gonna end up spending 165,000 this year. Also, there's
Wow.
40,000 that Jim gave me for the rest of the distributor truck that has not ever been put back into my budget.
Oh. Okay, we need to get with Susan about that.
Yeah,
I didn't
well,
realize that.
she's been holding it or sitting on it, whatever.
Okay, so that starting balance you got, that doesn't include that?
No,
Okay, good to
it does
know.
not include that. And that, if the reason I'm carrying that much over, that we haven't been able to do any chip sealing this year is of yet, but I've got Abbott that 3111 that we plan to get done this year, to where I turn it back over to Mr. Holmes and try to see if I get something out of T-Mobile. I've already invested over 85,000 just in rock on the project.
Yeah, this is where the T-Mobile went to put a crane up, to crane, and even though it's load limited, they took the crane down the road and destroyed the road, and then tried to abscond without paying for it. Yeah,
Anyway, you know, road and bridge, it is what it is, and also too, you're talking about 3.2%. I'd like to do 2% more for our farmers.
so you're shooting for 5% for your foreman?
Here, here.
5.2.
Last year, when they did the Evergreen thing, I ran into problems with the previous foreman. They only got a 1.4, and that
Because-
was a,
Because he got a 7% raise the year before.
they forgot that.
And no one else got that raise but them. And
They forgot that.
I had to have that argument with him in a gymnasium at Aquila when he accosted me about it.
But anyway, if all possible, I would like to do that.
Fair enough. I will see what's.
Martin, are you agree with that with your farm?
That's fine. I personally think the raises across the board should be a minimum of 6%.
No,
That's my thoughts.
no.
And, cause I think that, you know, here 2 years ago, 3 years ago, inflation was 9% and we gave what, a 3 point something raise or something. So we're really 6% in the hole,
Well,
in my opinion.
I don't know. After last year, we were supposed to be market rate around here. And I'll be honest with you, before Evergreen, we couldn't get applications. After Evergreen for custodian, I had 12 applications. 13 people show up to interview, but 12 applications. I don't know that we're that far below market rate. I really don't. I mean, I understand that there are some contention with some areas of Evergreen. Overall, though, I would say 90% of that study was right and proper. So I don't know that we're in a hole in that thing. And again, it's balancing revenues versus expenditures, and we got to cut one or the other. It's where do we go? So, but again, putting my money where my mouth is, putting our money where my mouth is, I put money in to do another study again because there's been so much discontent. I think though that after we do this next study, I'm just going to be frank with everybody here, you're going to have the same discontent, same people, the same words. It's a pattern. It's happening every year.
My employees are all good with the 3.2. It's just the parking spot.
Grace.
What else you got?
That's it. We go through Road Bridge and we go to Ephrata.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, we can go to Effingham Lateral right now if you want to.
Well, we can do that.
Well, you go back up and do that.
Well, and then I told
You have to back up, and get Jim.
I gave all yours to Larry. It made it easier.
You have to back up and get Jim.
He gave you $40,000.
Well, not technically, yeah.
You still owe me another 40.
No, I gave him $40. That's 80. I think.
We get a knife fight over this, so it takes 40.
Still on the
So, all right, so we've got FM lateral infrastructure and, and so what you're looking at that is contract services. We have amount of 25,000, 100,000 repairs, 350,000 construction, 100,000 in fuel, 215 in capital outlay and bridge infrastructure of 135,000. FM2, yes, sir. I'll go back. I'll go back to you.
Also, I'm gonna have to upgrade a haul truck. And I talked to Volvo Mack and getting a Mack nearly impossible. But
I wondered about that.
Hmm?
Is the demand lightened up for trucks?
Demand is there, it's just they can't put them out. I don't know what the deal is. He said, if I were to order a Mack now, it might be this time next year if I were to get it. Anyway,
Good.
but I'm
nice.
talking to Freightliner for maybe a Western Star, but
Okay.
still that's 59,000.
Mhm.
What's a Mac?
It's still about the same, about 150,000.
I think 119 is about what I say.
That was the last time I bought one was 118, 119.
Wow.
But
Parts from overseas?
uh,
Are they getting parts from overseas?
I don't know. I don't know. Justin Clark, the salesman, he said it's just nearly impossible. They can get Volvos. Cause he said he could price me a bobtail, a Volvo. I didn't want a Volvo, but with a round bottom bed, new Volvo was $180,000.
Good.
So I said I could get more use out of a haul truck that's used every day and take one of my older Macs,
Turned it into the
16, 18 Mac, and put a round bottom bed on it and then get rid of my 95 and the 99.
those quality pieces of equipment.
Things have gone up.
Yeah,
I gave 130. Shot mine with the round beds and everything.
they've increased dramatically.
I got here, we still had 12 Caterpillar 12 motor graders.
But
Dogs. Yeah,
He said, he's talking about old motor graders. That's what I started.
yeah. When I got here, precinct 2 still had 2 of those. I had 12 and a 112.
but
We had 8 of them.
They had no air conditioner, none.
in my motor graders, I've got 3 08s and 1 13-670, and they still work good. And a new motor grader now is over 400,000, and I'm not. The air conditioners work good. We're gonna keep them going.
There you go.
43 to be exact.
Yeah.
How much?
How much?
443.
That's the number on the new 7.
772.
Oh, it's not even 776.
772.
772.
No, 6 like 2 million.
Uh-huh.
That hadn't been
Couple of years.
2 to 3 years ago.
A 20 model with 5,000 or 6,000 hours on it. There's over nearly 300,000.
That's insane.
A used motor grader.
With 5,000 hours on it.
Yeah. They had a 672 23 model with 700 hours is 608,000 in California, but
Start
I'll
watching the
look at the
Ritchie Brothers
website.
auction. Make you appreciate what you got.
yeah.
That gives me a new perspective on buying that John Deere.
No kidding. I had
That's
no
one
clue.
thing I say about
No,
John Deere motor graders or air conditioners work good.
but I will say the one thing is that, we bought a couple motor graders a few years back, leased them, and we're all under 300,000, but that kind of jump is incredible. That's insane to me.
Well, I financed mine, Jim, and they weren't that much more now, longer period of time, but they weren't that much more than.
So you did 3-year or 4-year financing?
I did 5
5.
with a bubble
Yeah, I wish I'd bought when
because
they did back then.
I
Yeah, I
paid
had no clue.
I thought they were out then.
$125,000 per year for 5 years, and then I owe a couple of $100,000 more.
We've got,
And your previous person up there was paying $119,000 to lease 3,
Yeah,
and so for $6,000 more.
could own it.
Yeah, I get
But I'm still gotta, at the end of 5 years, I've really gotta come up with a couple of $100,000 or refinance it.
we've all got $3 to $5 million worth of copiers and computers to maintain.
Yeah.
I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, change a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's how you do work, that's what we talked about. We've had this conversation before. What happens if we get rid of it and you just, one person does all the motor grader? You got the smallest precinct by physical size. It takes you 7 days to blade after a ring.
I've got 4 blades running.
That's right, 4 blade road takes 7 days. You know what? How do you do the whole county? You're the smallest precinct. You're the next smallest. You're the next smallest. You're the biggest. You can't get across your precinct in 3 weeks after a ring. Yeah,
With 5 motor grader.
yeah, that's it.
It costs 5 months.
And people complain, yeah, well, there's a different, yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah, and people complain about, they haven't hit my motor, had my road, we're maintaining 1,200 miles of road, and every day somebody else is moving in here on a damn dirt road, wanting us to rebuild it. That's your responsibility. No, it's the developer's responsibility.
We've got over 90 miles of chip seal roads.
That's the biggest blessing right there, is that you're planning ahead on that. I know it's a lot of capital up front to chip seal a road, but when you amortize it over 10 years, it's actually cheaper.
But we don't have the money to go back and redo.
Can't fix it.
I can't get caught up enough to even do
it.
That's it. I mean, you look back in the 1950s down in your precinct, they did all those road bond districts. They paved a bunch of roads down there. Go find them for me today. They don't exist because they had to tear them all back up. Didn't have money to maintain them.
I know now why they just turn them back to gravel, because you can't afford to rechip it.
Yeah.
I've got U-Batch 21, 24, it needs it desperately now.
Uh-huh.
Also, I've talked to the sheriff department about getting them cement trucks cut off of it. We posted
We
it.
posted it. It'd be nice if they do something about it.
Anyway, I've talked to Robinson and they're supposed to talk to them.
Okay. Back to precinct 1, FM11.
There's the numbers. I still have to do everything I gotta do, and we'll just figure it out.
Yeah. Well, let me know if you need to move numbers around inside of that.
Okay.
We're just worried about that black number at the
Okay.
bottom.
Does this count for what we carry over? Yeah.
Yes, sir, it does. So if you look at the recapitulation on page 9, your total resources is going to be what your carryover, your beginning balance, what we call it, and then your total revenue for this
But
year.
don't get into the chip sealing done, we could
Oh, you're going to carry
carry
over.
over a little more.
Yes, sir, a lot more if you don't do that chip sealing. If that chip sealing don't get done, you're talking a couple $100,000
I hope
bucks.
I can do that and I'd have more I can work with next year.
Yeah.
Asphalt is expensive.
Oh,
That homeowners group up close to Bog Valley, a guy called me and they're wanting him to chip seal it. It's $2, not chip seal it, but the asphalt, 2 inches of asphalt is
Over $2 square.
it's
no?
$2 or something square foot.
Oh, that-
And you sit there and you
The
look at a
last
20-foot wide road, you're talking about 50 foot.
The last
$50 just to run one.
The last figure I got on it was like 3 years ago, was $2.25 a square foot.
wow.
And chip sealing was $1.25, and I know it's probably, the last quote I had was like $1.85 a square.
Yeah,
foot.
that's it. It's pushing $2.
Yeah.
Well, then, I hadn't done the math in a long time what it cost us to gravel, but a couple of years ago, the gravel mile road was $26,000. Gravel, truck, trailer, man, motor grader, man,
31 to 32.
believe it, right now. I totally believe that. So when you look at it, if you're, anyhow, your high traffic road, you're re-graveling them every other year. Every third year you're there. So, 26, 5 times over 10 years. don't take long to get up the money that it takes to chip seal it. Chip seal, 2 floors up front, what, 80,000 a mile? Roughly 80,000 a mile?
The chip seal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for materials.
Yeah, in year 5, you're gonna put another 40,000 to put a single coat.
But what I'm getting at, like my position, maintaining what I've got.
Oh, yeah.
And then getting a road ready to chip seal.
Tough.
You
No, people
That takes a month just to do that.
Well, I just can't, I don't have,
Drainage and
you,
everything.
you can't catch it, exactly.
Yeah, not with the money, with the resources we have available to us, it's a miracle if we get the roads open it up, frankly.
I've got so many roads that.
And I know that's gonna be taken and twisted later date, so whoever does that, I'm putting this as a caveat to it. But the fact is, we've managed to keep them open. People, you've done it this way since 1853. People don't understand anything about our road system. We had a law in 1912 passed into the Supreme Court twice, and it was the Hill County Road Law. And that was, if you're an able-bodied male, you were a voter, you had a duty to show up on the road, bring your team of mules, bring your clothes, whatever, you work 3 days a month on the road. That held up until World War II. World War II, we went to what we're currently doing because all the manpower went overseas to fight. And we've got this. We've come a long ways. We've really upgraded things. When I got here years ago, there was 101 wooden bridges over 100 years of age on TxDOT's register. We're down to less than 15.
Most of my.
Yeah, unfortunately, bad luck.
Luck and sky.
Mal suerte, as they'd say down south. So, you know, we've come a long ways, but we also put in the foundation to this. We were putting money in roads we couldn't prove we had a legal right to maintain. We went through that in no way. That's what that roadmap is. We have a legal, equitable right to maintain these roads. And if we put money into it, we expect it's gonna stay there and somebody can't take it away from us. We had people putting barbed wire fences down the middle of county roads because their property line said they went to the middle of county road. And we had to prove that we maintained it prior to 1981. Good luck with that with the record we had back then. Speaking of records, we brought in the data management system. We now know where every single load of gravel, every mile, every blade, every man hour goes. And we do that because that's how you build responsibility, you build transparency and trust. And I still see the complaints you guys get. Every time the weather gets wet, people start hollering at you, yelling at you. And I don't think most people understand what it takes to actually maintain these roads and what the cost of a mile of gravel is. It ain't a couple of $100, it's $30,000.
Would include that in tax and.
Yeah, it's important to understand that there's, you know, you get people calling you, you guys are the most thankless job in the county as far as I'm concerned. I know Constable Cordell was in here earlier, wanting to make the exact same thing as y'all. My thought is, man, you don't have to super butt you guys get.
You know, I figure it, for waiting, Congress is the closest pit for us. I figure it's 4.25 a load of rock. I know it's Scotty hauling that far. It's probably closer to $600 a load to get it done.
And then how many loads of rock to cover a mile of road?
No, do what?
How to cover a 20-foot road, how many a mile, 20-foot wide, mile long, how many loads of rock?
Oh, right. A lot.
Let's say,
Well, I tell you, Barney Road that we did from the interstate, and part of that was a 1.5 miles. It was 85,000. That I'm hoping to get back.
About 30 loads to build mine.
jeez. Well, sorry, anyway, I'm taking us off on a tangent, and we're bemoaning how bad the world is. We asked to keep the tax rate low, and we asked to fix roads. Those two things are sometimes mutually exclusive of each other.
Well, and some of them, you don't have enough width to really meet a car. I've got several of them, the trees and the fences and.
He's got some with the bar ditches down here. I mean, the bar ditches up here, the road's down there.
Oh, yeah, I've got a bunch of those too.
That's another thing, in my contract service, I hired bushwhacker. to go
Oh,
out,
yeah.
Do some tree trimming.
How's that worked out?
He does a good job. And I had to send my guys down to 8/10 of a mile to trim both sides. Time we brush cut it, chipped it. I figure I had 3,000 to 4,000 in labor and equipment. He has contracted me 2,400 a mile, both sides of the road,
You're saving money.
to saw it in multi. Yeah.
Not just.
And the River Road, he did 3 miles down there and it was 7,200.
So you save.
He's doing 4 miles at Peoria for me now. And I told him he's got to quit after that till we get my new budget. I'm like, I've got 25,000 and I can do about another 5 or 6 miles next year.
To get you 40,000.
Mhm.
Can you get you $40,000?
Yeah. Yeah. When you gonna send it in?
Yeah, checks in the mail, checks in the mail.
It already came out of
But
my.
anyway, but he solves it and, he does a very good job.
Yeah, no, I've heard good things.
That might be cheaper than boom shredder.
Hmm.
200.
Yeah, the boom shredder, yeah, what's a boom shredder cost us nowadays? $212,000.
Yeah.
And we get about 5 to 8 years out of one. Cause,
I've got one, so 5 of them.
Mhm.
wow,
Okay.
so the one you got rid of was the old one.
Yes.
I still got an '09 model.
What
that
tractor?
barely works.
6415. But,
We gave less than 100,000 for that tractor, cause remember when it got bought?
well, Sam Clinton
Uh-huh.
bought the tractor in 05.
Yeah.
I have one man run it. He keeps it immaculate. And it's not that way now. Cause I put another guy on it and he got my new one, but only put one person on it, no more.
It takes a certain kind of person to treat a piece of county equipment like it's their own. If you do that, your repair bill would drop through the floor. Mine was like over the moon.
I had a guy growing up around there called business in Kingsbury, Texas, and he had a dash, he re-railed trains to construction work. Every one of his vehicles, be it a motor grader, semi truck, or a company truck, it had a sticker on the dash, and that sticker said simply this: "This piece of equipment makes part of my salary and all of yours, treating accordingly." Because you're right. Less guys driving the vehicle, longer lives. Sheriff's office has proven that. They issue a vehicle to somebody, just one person, that vehicle has twice the lifespan if they issue it to a crowd of people.
Sir, is it your turn?
Yes, your turn. Yeah, yours. You're on, your FM ladder's on page 88, but your regular is on page 82. 83.
The judge and I have gone over this earlier in the week, or actually last week. I'm good with what I've got.
Okay, good. And then on FM lateral 3
I'm good with what I've got.
on page 89. All right, Martin, what do you got?
Oh, I'm a little better off this year than I was last year, so I'm not unhappy.
I've seen
But
that.
I had 3 bridges I had to replace last year on the 340
It was a brutal.
thousand,
brutal.
and we didn't know it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So,
And 2 of them are school routes.
Do you get any budget for that?
No,
Do you get any
no.
budget for that?
no.
No, that's like my two bridges.
Dexter came in and just shut that down. That was it, done.
That, we nearly played dominoes at the bottom. But as we might have been a little low in one area. And you know, these things are gonna happen, but. Yeah, that's a challenge that people don't see, and I don't sit here to bemoan it and beat on it, but yeah. It's every year, it's a challenge to get done when we get done with the revenue. So I don't feel sorry for you, it's just.
Okay.
I had things that.
I wasn't,
So I don't want to hear any more.
I wasn't. I'm just stating fact.
Anything on FM lat 4 commission? Good. All right, gentlemen, that's the ballpark for today. Mine, I'm on here. I was going to take the liberty of doing it tomorrow. Get you guys out of here a little bit earlier. My main budget, it is what it is. It didn't anything change. The county judge's budget. We'll go over non-departmental tomorrow. That needs to make a lot of the jury fund. We're going to go over tomorrow. When Lucio gets here, we'll go over courthouse and security fund and anything else you guys, 5301 public input. Yes, sir.
You want to be here today or tomorrow?
What do you guys feel like today or tomorrow
Do what for?
for his, for Phil presenting his budget?
Well, that's right. We pushed you from this morning. Mine will be pretty quick.
Go for it. Come on.
Let's do it. But it really hasn't changed since.
Well, you might have to come back to me.
Yeah, you're on. You're on for 420 more.
420. Oh yeah, nobody wants that time slot. We're out of money by 4.
Thank you. So, I'm gonna jump down to my software and maintenance line item.
Oh, he's gonna be back here on page 430,
Page 32.
30, something like that.
32 and 33.
I hadn't told him. Were you writing yourself out?
I didn't.
Thanks.
To quote Nixon, mistakes were made. Go ahead. Page 32.
Sure, yeah, there's not a whole lot that's changed, gentlemen. Software and maintenance line item, it was 455 last year, Judge. We had spoken earlier, and I think you'd bumped it up to 465.
Yes, sir.
I may ask, so based on what were the two things? Oh, based on the should I write them down somewhere? There were let's see, the word escapes me. The new system that's going to be replacing on base, I said it earlier today, FileBound.
Yeah, there you
Yeah, so FileBound is gonna be run about 5,400 a year.
go. Okay.
And then, actually, what else? Sorry, I've got this in my phone.
What about software and maintenance? If he's not gonna use it, we can split that among the 4 precincts.
Nice try.
Yeah, yeah. That'll happen around here if you're not paying attention.
We can make it 65,000.
So,
This place is shut down like, yeah,
So
go
it's-
ahead.
so it's about an extra 5,500 a year for FileBound, about an
Okay.
extra 6,500 a year for this increase to the G Suite.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the SEMA.
Yes, sir. So that's 12 a year. And so you've gone up 10 from 455 to 465,
to?
maybe 470.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And what was G Suite? How much?
It was an additional 6,500
So
a year.
55 and 65, got it.
And other than that, really, you had increased my telephone line item from 57 to 67, and mainly because we ran a deficit last year because we added the fiber internet over at the sheriff's office, and that put us negative.
Yeah, and we understood that was gonna happen when we did it. We took advantage of trying to upgrade the link between the buildings and link to the buildings. That we spent some money we didn't originally budget there, but it's gonna work out in the wash. It just,
But they needed it. They needed
Yeah.
it in the
Oh,
worst
yeah.
way, and with all the videos that they download, I was getting a lot of complaints about, slow speed, so they needed it.
it's worked well.
It has. Really, those are the only, really, it was just the one change, from 465 maybe to 470 on my software and maintenance line item is
Got it.
really the only thing I'm asking for.
Okay,
Other than, I have one time now, and I just may want to bounce some ideas off you all and see if you can maybe help me figure this out, but, so the sheriff's office, and Judge Lewis knows all about this, their camera servers, they had 3 camera servers. One died, one camera, they're all out of warranty. They were actually purchased back in 2018. So, one of the 3 died, so they're now, I say limping along on 2 camera servers. We came to find out that the company that we used to support that camera system out of Waco, they were down to 2 employees. So the guy that we had always called on, he was usually always, Johnny on the spot. Well, now he couldn't get to us for 2 weeks. And I said, well, is there anybody else you can send? Well, we're down to 2 people.
yeah, we can't have cameras in the jail down for any amount of time, much less 2 weeks. And all it's back up now. We got it running on a fix.
Right. So a gentleman named Mike Curry, who's with Christian Cabling Group, he did a lot of work for us at the AgriLife building and at Covington. Mike's a unique character. He wouldn't have necessarily been my first choice, but I was in a bind. I called Mike, and he was working on something else down in San Antonio. And while he was down there, he looped in some support people that were able to help us out and get everything back up and running last Thursday afternoon. So Mike really hit a home run to me in my book. So I wanted to get a proposal from him to upgrade this camera system. Yes, sir. So Mike's initial proposal was way high. He was recommending an AI type of camera system. So
Yeah.
and it's pretty slick. Don't get me wrong. It's really slick from the way he described it. I could type in silver truck, and this would search through all the video footage that it has recorded and somehow return results of every time there was a silver truck. And that's pretty slick. We don't have that today, but it was $82,000. And that was considerably more than what.
About 3 times what we think this thing should cost.
Yeah. So I got the revised proposal back today, 34,000. Okay, so that's basically replacing, it's going to be using the same type of servers that we have today. They're not the AI version.
Okay.
So this was his proposal. So right now we have the 2 servers.
Yes, sir.
They have 40 terabytes of storage each. So we have 80 terabytes of storage currently at our disposal.
Yeah.
He's recommending 2 more servers of the same make and model, just more horsepower, more storage, 120 terabytes each. That's the 34,000 for 2. He's recommending we keep the 2 that are still working.
Okay.
We add the 2 new ones, and so now we have 4 in an array.
Keep all those as backup or something.
Yes, and they're
Load them all.
just loop them all together and yes, sir.
Are the old servers 40 terabytes a piece?
Yes.
So one new one would have
One
equal to 3 old ones.
Correct. So, yeah, so according to Mike, whereas we had 3 at 40 terabytes, so we had 120 terabytes of storage. Mike is saying, well, you really should have closer to 500. I don't know, that maybe seems kind of high, but with the 2 at 120 and then the 2 at 40, that puts us at 320 terabytes. So
That's incredible.
we're almost tripling what we had.
Yeah.
Okay, so saying all that to say this. I'm having to figure out where to get the money.
Yeah.
I've still got a couple of bills that are gonna come out of my capital outlay. But after those bills come out, I should have around 17.7 left in that line item. I can pull 6,000 from supplies.
There's another option here that I want to talk to Susan about before I get too far in it. But gentlemen, this is not a system that traditionally IT has maintained. This has been in the sheriff's office.
That's true.
But I'm not willing to let that be taken over because of the way things are being done. We have a contingency line. And I need to talk about what's left in that contingency line item. It's in our non-departmental 1103. It's for these kind of contingencies, and see if that's something that's possible, that we might be able to use some of that. Again, that's going to be dependent on some things I'm not fully aware of at the moment. If there's been other contingencies, I don't believe so, but it should be enough money in there to cover something like that if these guys are not opposed to it. Nobody be opposed to it.
And other than Crumple's got 40,000, we can't.
That's he needs.
Yeah, see? If you can sign that.
I sent Andrew for that.
The only, however we can pull it off, I would just be grateful to make it happen. I'm hoping to maybe do it sooner rather than later.
No doubt. And again, not making excuses. Susan took a very well deserved vacation. Friday night through tomorrow. She's back tomorrow, maybe. Back tomorrow. So I didn't want to disturb her on her vacation because it was well deserved. So I will catch up with her tomorrow about that and see what the contingency fund looks like. If that's something that we can come up with out of there to offset that cost. Because again, we did not budget for it out of your budget because historically it's not a system that you've maintained. I would much rather going forward, IT maintain those systems. It just is a more efficient way of doing
We had the
it.
sheriff's office pay 49%.
Yes.
We really should maintain it because it's really not watched, which is why, one of the 3 failed. So yeah, going forward, we will be.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and so that's something we can definitely do.
Okay, all right.
Any questions for IT?
Oh, thank you, Philip.
Y'all want to jump up a minute ago? You're just trying to get the heck out of here, or do you want to say something?
Last chance, get up and say something.
Gotta stop looking at your pen.
Yeah.
Stop looking at the pen.
I'm glad somebody said that.
Look in your pen.
Just like this.
Okay, that's good. No, thank you for that.
That must be pretty flat.
Yeah, these microphones pick up really well.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. What's your request?
Did she say? Quit clicking your pants.
This is not.
No, I don't want to sit there all day.
Y'all have got chairs.
That one has a spring poking in his butt. That's that one you get back here. When you say active leak, do you mean condensation or what? Did you call Lucio? Thank you. Appreciate that. This is something we're taking a chance with these new chillers. These pipes, they're not in good shape up on top of this building. We replace some. It's expensive as all get out, but occasionally we're going to find something like that. So just on record. Yeah, no good. No bueno. We'll look into chairs.
I still think you need to consider something about beginning to bring someone in to Paul. I mean, 40-something years, she's not gonna be here forever.
I know, and I hear you, and I understand what you're saying, and I'd like to. I just find myself in a position that I've turned everybody else down. How do you take care of yourself when you've sold everybody else? No, and I get that. You can't. It's not tenable to do that forever. But we're gonna have some internal discussions in my office and figure out how that's gonna head forward. And I appreciate you bringing it up, Bill. Thank you. So. All right.
$40,000.
I'm be 95 years old time I'm down here.
Well, Pam said you better live to 96 if you don't quit that last term.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I think we're good. Anything else?
Make a motion.
Tomorrow at 10 a.m. What's your motion? Yes.
That's
So that's
it.
a new,
No, I know it's much what you need before we go.
Nothing. I was just saying.
that's
Yeah,
a
you-
new one, right? This is,
Yeah, no, yeah, we're going to actually adjourn this meeting. We have another meeting that's been posted on the east door of the courthouse online. Cause Susan told me it wasn't posted online. I went and looked. I think I found it. So anyway, but it's posted in proper manner. And we will bring it 10 a.m. tomorrow. That meeting starts at 10:08.
It will be here.
I mean, let me double check that, make sure.
no probate tomorrow.
No, there's probate tomorrow. She scheduled me for probates.
So we will not adjourn.
No, we're going to adjourn. I'm just reading the agenda real quick.
There's a motion, the motion's out there, we didn't vote on it.
10 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
All right, stand adjourned. Thank you for that.
So can I leave our stuff in here?